Hello. That was a terrible intro. Anyways, I'm just gonna introduce myself. Sorry if my video quality is like in the shitter. That's because I'm using my camera on my computer. But yes, introduction. So, hello friends. My name is Hans. I am 19 years old and I currently reside, and I'm also from Malaysia. And this is my entry to the Wyatt X Him contest for the Bethlehem box set. Yeah. Alright, so excuse me. The first question: what got you into record collecting? So, here's a very interesting thing. I have no idea if I can qualify for this contest. I hope I do, because I don't necessarily collect records, but I do collect CDs and cassettes. Now the reason for this is because I actually only very recently have actually really gotten into record collecting. Really gotten. I use big fat quotation marks, because I am only really now looking for records now that excuse me, now that I'm older, because when I was younger, I remember one time I went into this record store and I saw, now I know you, Wyatt, I know you hate this band. I know you hate this band, but they're one of my favorite bands, right? But I went into this record store and I saw Dream Theater's Images and Words on the record right there. And this was when I was like 13 or 14 years old, and I thought to myself, whew, how sweet would it be if I could own that? That would be so sick. And because, you know, a 13 or 14-year-old doesn't make money, like a 19-year-old makes money, am I right? Anyways, like a 13 or 14-year-old makes money. So I asked my mom, I was like, can I get this sick Dream Theater record? And she was pretty much like, what the hell are you gonna do with the Dream Theater record? Because we don't have a record player. And then I got sad. But recently so when it comes to CDs and cassettes, I usually always get secondhand, because it's kind of hard here. It's very hard, like for shipping, for example, if you're buying something from overseas, shipping usually costs ridiculously. Like it's ridiculously expensive, because it's usually coming from Europe or the States. So most of all of my CDs and cassettes are all secondhand. And I was going somewhere with this. I am not very good on the spot, am I? Anyways, so I guess I'll just say how I got into. Oh yes, no, what I wanted to say, okay. What I wanted to say was that for record collecting, why now I'm really wanting to get into it, and why I really want to get more records, is because I was on the call with one of my friends, right? I'm not going to say his name, because I don't think he wants his name said, but he is like the only other person I know here in Malaysia that has even remotely the same taste as me in music, and the heavier side of music. Because not many people here are really into that. More people here, when it comes to like the metal scene or the harder scene, whatnot, most of the underground scene is towards punk, as compared to like black metal or like death metal or whatnot. So like he's like one of my like only friends who actually we shared the same music taste, and we were on call and we were chatting, and somehow records came up, and I was like, oh man, I wish like I had a huge record collection, because like you always see these guys on YouTube. And I remember main two people I mentioned to him were Wyatt X Him and Infidel Amsterdam, and I was like, have you seen like these guys, their freaking records, their collection is humongous. And he was like, yeah, it's humongous, and I'm building mine to be like that one day. And I was like, what do you mean, you collect records? And he sent me a picture of Blood Fire Death by Bathory, which is my favorite album by my favorite band. And I was like, holy moly, how'd you get your hands on that? And that's why now I'm really getting into it. And this like happened a month ago. And let me also explain how I got into collecting CDs and cassettes. So there's two stories here. I hope you have the time. So for cassettes, I was staying with my father because my father stays in another city. He stays in his family house, his like childhood home. So he also stays with like my grandmother and whatnot. They all like still like they stay in one place. So there is a lot of relics from a different time there. And as I was digging through all of this junk, I found 2 bags with a whole bunch of cassettes in them, and I found 2 of these. I don't know if you can see that. Right? Wait, how the heck do I haven't used this in a long time. There you go. I found 2 of them. I don't know where the other one is. It's missing right now, but 2 that look exactly like this. Right? And I remember I spent the next 2 days listening to every single one of those cassettes on these. I popped 2 batteries inside and just plugged in my earphones. I sat down and listened, and these tapes are old. Like, they're really old. And to give you an idea of how old they are, one of the cassettes that I was listening to was Modern Talking. And if you don't know who Modern Talking is, essentially they're a British pop duo from the 80s. And I was listening to them, and I didn't know that, because at that time at least I didn't know that cassettes actually like kind of like rot over time and it affects the sound. So for this entire time I thought that Modern Talking was like 2 girls, because the pitch was so high. But I just thought Modern Talking was 2 girls, and I found out they were 2 guys, and I actually heard their songs on YouTube. I was like, what? This doesn't sound right. I don't know, I thought that was a little funny anecdote. And how I got into CDs. Now this is a different story. So this is on my mother's side now. So I went to my grandparents' house from my mother's side, and because my mom has 2 younger brothers, and her youngest brother, when he moved out, his stuff in his room is still there. So I would usually just go in there and mess around, and I ended up finding his CDs. Simple as that. And that's how I got into collecting CDs, because he had a whole bunch and I listened to all of them, and I liked the fact of having it. And actually that's perfect, because it comes into the second question, which is what arguments do you use to convince people to get into vinyl? So I'll say more towards physical media, because I feel like I can kind of group it together and explain it a lot easily, because I collect a lot of physical media in music, video games, movies as well. I like to have collected. And a lot of people have told me before, they're like, because okay, you see, this is Malaysia. Okay, here's the thing about Malaysia, yeah, we pirate everything, and I am known as the weirdo because I don't like pirating. We pirate everything. So if you own physical copies, people will look at you like, what for? What for you want physical copy? That's my best Malaysian accent for you there. Anyways, so my main argument to them, whenever they ask me, why do you collect physical media? What's the point of it? I always just tell them, I like having the physical copy. I like showing off my stuff. You see, I feel like when you go into someone's room, right, it's kind of a representation of who they are. I know my room's quite barren right now. It's because I'm in the process of moving, but I think someone's room is a representation of who they are. And when you walk into someone's room, you can tell a lot about a person just from how their room is, how their room appears. And so I like having physical stuff to show off, put it in my bookcase, put it all nicely, the shelves, show it off, right? So that's my reason for it. I know a lot of people talk about the sound, so I can't really comment on vinyl. I heard that there is a very unique sound to it, but I can't comment on tapes. And I will say this: if you're listening to something like, let's say like Golgoroth or something like that, some like old school black metal, I think it really elevates the sound on tapes because you have a lot of those like very small qualities, like the hiss of the two mechanisms inside turning. Sorry if I don't know the actual name. Like it adds a lot. But if you're listening to something like Tears for Fears, for example, I think it's much better to listen on digital, even though it's nice to still have the cassette or the vinyl. Yes. So, next question. What records hold the most personal value to you? Alright, so we'll start with tapes first. So, as I previously mentioned, Modern Talking, right? Because I know this is like I know Wyatt X Him is like a huge metalhead and everyone's here like so am I, but I listen to everything, and this reason why this holds a very close place to me is because it helped me get into 80s pop music, which is like one of my favorite things now. And the second cassette is this one. It's Motley Crue's live cassette. And here's the interesting thing about this is that this cassette does not freaking work. It didn't work when I first found it, still does not work now. I still take amazing care of it, and still one of my favorites. Why? Because you see, the thing I love about cassettes is that you can open them up, right? And the cover is usually also like band info, and you can read all kinds of stuff. Then there's all these. Then for this one specifically, there was all these crazy pictures. Hold on a second. There you go. There are all these like crazy pictures of the band members, and I was like, whoa, these guys look cool. Let me, even though the cassette doesn't work, I still want to check them out. I still want to listen. So I ended up doing what most people my age end up doing. I went on YouTube, and as I went on YouTube, I went ahead and I listened to them, and now 80s heavy metal is one of my favorite genres, and it's what I listen to most of my day. So that's why that is my choice for that. I'll deal with this later. And my favorite CDs are two as well. And again, with the whole thing, I do listen to a lot of metal, but I also listen to a lot of other music. And these two CDs, they kind of mean a lot to me. So, the first one, and by the way, they're both best of CDs. They're both compilations. The first one is this. So, I don't know if you can read that, but yeah. It's the best of Bob Dylan. And as you can I don't know if you can actually see that, but there's a huge crack right across the case. That's because I used to listen to this so much that I ended up cracking the case. That's just sad. But yes, reason why I love this is because I've always, even until now, I still believe that music, lyrics, they mean nothing. Like, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But I feel that Bob Dylan is one of the few people where he does lyrics really well. Because you listen to his songs, you don't really listen, at least this is from my point of view, when you listen to his music, it's not the same way like how I would listen to, for example, something like Wasp or Behemoth, right? That I'm more listening to the actual like music that is being played. But when you listen to Bob Dylan, the music really is not too interesting, but it's just the way he conveys his stories through his lyrics that is just so like, you know. Okay, probably not that, because like I just said, it's not, you don't really listen to it for the musical side of it. You more, yeah. I listen to Bob Dylan in the same way that I would listen to an audiobook. Is my point, which is why I love Bob Dylan a lot, and I love this CD. And the second one, it's this one. It's the Best of the Police. And the reason why I love this is because it helped get me really into the Police. They're one of my favorite bands. and it also helped me get into new wave. So after I started listening to this, I ended up listening to the Smiths, stuff like The Cure, which I don't I can tell a lot of people watching this are like but yeah, that's just my taste, I suppose. And the third question, no, sorry, that was the third question, which I just answered. So the fourth one, albums you play for each season. Alright, so here's the thing, yeah. In Malaysia, we have but 2 seasons: rain and really freaking hot. That's it. That is our seasons here. So, but I will say that it does affect what I listen to, because when it's raining, I'll usually put on some, maybe like some black metal. Like, I have a whole bunch of playlists. As you can see, I do listen to like digital music as well, but I feel like you listen to some nice Melodeath, for example, like Unanimated, for example, their song Oceans of Time is my favorite by them. Maybe some like Dark Fortress. It just adds that mood, I feel. It's really dope. And something other things which I like to listen to, like I kind of established that I am into like new wave. I feel like new wave just fits very well at night while it's raining. Just adds that mood. Oh, okay. So another band another band that I like to listen to while it's raining, like let's say I'm awake at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which by the way, it's 6 a.m. right now. Why the heck am I still awake? But if I'm awake really late and it's raining, I'm in bed. One band which I love to listen to is Gnaw Their Tongues, because I feel like their atmosphere, specifically the I'm sorry, my memory fails me right now. I can't remember the name of the album. It's the one with the girl having her mouth opened. I love to listen to that album at night when it's just raining, because I feel like the atmosphere is just elevated to a whole new level on that. That album is... Other tongues are just... It's just another level. I shouldn't say there, because I'm pretty sure it's just one guy, but... It's pretty much... It's just, like, their music is just... If you haven't listened to them, not Wyatt, obviously, but like anyone else who's watching, if you haven't listened to them, I definitely recommend checking them out. And I'll also say this. So, because we don't really have much difference weather here, we only have 2. So I'll talk about more situational types of things, or different environment, because I noticed there's change there as well. And I remember one time I went on a holiday and we were on a boat, right? We were staying in on an island, and we were getting there, and we were going by a speedboat, and for some reason I was listening to music, because I don't freaking know why. I was on a speedboat, and the one album which I thought it fits so well, it fit really really well with the entire theme, like the whole, like you're on a speedboat, you can feel the motion, it's going fast, like the smell of everything. I thought it fit very well, is the album Angel Dust by Faith No More. If you ever are on a speedboat, load up some Faith No More, Angel Dust, or even my memory is trash right now. What's the album with the songs Epic on it? That album, the first one, which they had with their different singer, which for some reason I also can't remember right now. Man. Good thing I'm not a lawyer. Anyways. Yep. I think that's... Oh yeah, no. Okay, one other thing. When you're in a speedboat, Command and Conquer soundtrack fits. It feels like it doesn't fit. Fits amazingly. You listen to freaking Red Alert soundtrack, it's a whole different experience while you're on a speedboat. With the tropical sense, okay? You feel like you're in Red Alert 3. Like, you know, you can send the boats, you know, there's water combat, you feel like you're in one of those boats. It's a whole different experience. But yeah, that is my entry. I hope I win, and if I don't win, I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of this. I know this was sure fun to make, even though, because I'm not very used to talking to a camera. I'm more used to talking. I'm not like very introverted or extroverted. I don't know if I am either or not, but I am more used to talking to people face to face. Usually I talk a lot better. I can form my sentences. I speak with a lot more elegance with face to face. But this is camera. This is a camera. See, I'm messing up my own English. It's the only language I speak. But yes. So yes, I hope you guys like at least found some enjoyment, because I know I had fun making this. I hope all of you have a lovely day, and may the best man win!